Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Hey, listen, he's always worthy of a praise, man. Don't ever hold that thing back. Not for me, not for anybody. You know what I'm saying? All right, now, we got somebody on. Oh, he already left. Y'all lucky. I'll be up here like Jody. It'd be going again. We'll sing 3 songs again, all right? Amen. Hey, listen, real quick before we jump into today, I just want to remind you, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, we have the third week of our relationship goals seminar that they're doing. So if you'll come out, have a good time. They're giving away prizes, going to have snacks. It goes from about 4 to 5, maybe a little bit shorter, but they've been good. I went last week. If you didn't come last week, you missed out on your blessing. So you can come this week and get your blessing, but that blessing won't include me. Amen. So come and get your blessing today at 4. And then BCM, there's no BCM tomorrow, correct? No BCM tomorrow. Enjoy your Easter break. Get some work done, make up, get some rest, and then let's get ready to grind through the rest of this semester. All right? Hey, listen, so I have the very distinct pleasure today, and I've been nervous for a couple weeks, I'm going to be honest, of doing a sit-down talk with a very prestigious person in the upstate here. So we have the mayor of Travelers Rest, who is an NGU grad, Mayor Brandy Amidon. Come on. So I'm excited about this. I have done quite a few interviews in my life, but this one is going to go at the top. So even if it's really bad, on my part, not hers, because I might freeze up, but I'm just been really excited about this and looking forward to this. As I tell people that one day I'll be the mayor of Tigerville. That's my running joke around here.
We could bestow that on you right now.
Listen, your blessing is in the building and you don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so excited. Brandy, will you, Mayor Amidon, excuse me. Will you?
That's fine. Madam Mayor is my official title.
Oh, I like that even better. Madam Mayor. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Brandy Amidon. I grew up in Travelers Rest, as you can tell by the accent, so homegrown. Let's see, Devil Dog. I don't know if we have any Travelers High School Devil Dogs in here. Went to school at Travelers High School, stuck around, came to North Greenville. I am about to celebrate my 19th wedding anniversary in June. Woo! We're in it now, like we're stuck together forever. We've invested too much in each other. I have a 6-year-old daughter named Annabelle, and she's all unicorns, sparkles, pink, all those girly things. And then my day job, so I'm not just mayor's more my volunteer gig, but I'm co-president and CFO of Brains on Fire, which is a creative agency in Greenville, and then we have a LA office as well. So I've been there for about 15 years, and about 2 years ago I became an owner, so kind of a little transition in the leadership role. So excited to be here with you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's good to know, kind of knowing about that. What year did you finish at NGU?
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
Right? And so,
now, I graduated in 2.5 years. So I was here to get a job done, get out, and get paid. Like that was my goal.
Anybody out here on a 2.5-year track? Anybody out here on a 10.5-year track? That might
That's
be.
That's okay too.
That is okay. You get it done
Yeah.
when you get it done. So when you were deciding, where you wanted to further your education, when you wanted to pursue higher education, what made you choose NGU? What about NGU stuck out to you over all the plethora of universities out there?
Yeah, so I'd probably say when I was younger, I had the idea, like I was going to go to a big university, do all the things, grew up in a small town, and then I met my husband at Little Caesars Pizza, fell in love over pizza. I know.
Not only do you get a $5 pizza,
you get a man.
Find you a husband. Ladies, I'm telling you, your blessing is all around today.
So all that to say, like he was very much anchored here in Travelers Rest, and his family and my family. So it's like, okay, I'm going to change path. So I think I applied to like 3 places. Maybe it was like Furman, Tech, and North Greenville. Furman was kind of like my ideal of where I was going to go to school. They actually denied me, which I rub it in their face as often as I can. You could have had an alumni that was Mayor Furman, but whatever, tough luck. Sorry for you. And then North Greenville called me. I don't know if they still have the Foothill Scholarship, but it was a full ride for Blue Ridge and Traverse High Schools. It was like the top 5 GPA. And somebody had decided to go someplace else. And so the 5th slot, and I was like, yes, I will take it. So I came to North Greenville and just loved it. So
Awesome. Well, the thing about, as a Furman grad, now you have a Furman
oh.
grad interviewing an NGU grad who should have been a Furman grad, but
See?
didn't, and still went on to do excellent things.
See?
You know?
We're awesome.
So awesome, yeah. It all comes full circle.
I just wanted to feed the ducks at the lake. Like, that's the only thing that set Furman apart.
It's not that exciting. It's not that exciting. When you came to NGU, so you go through that, you get the scholarship, and then this is the place that you come and where you rest and where you get your education. In that time, were you thinking, one day I'm going to be a mayor of a city, like I'm going to stay here in this area and be mayor of Travelers Rest, or did that just kind of come about and happen?
Never, ever crossed my mind like that. I'm actually not a political person, like just was never involved in politics, couldn't care less. You know, you got like that period in your life, you're very self-centered, like it's about me, I got to get stuff done, you know, I got to make myself happy. So just not that person. And my husband and I were having breakfast together. I guess I was like 26 years old, and I'm complaining because a guy came onto city council in a special election and nobody ran against him. So like you literally have to live in the city limits of Travelers Rest to be on council. So somebody had moved, he signed a piece of paper and got to be on city council. And so I was like, well, that kind of sucks. Like you should have to campaign and do all those like horrible things that people complain about to be in office. And people should be lined up. This is Travelers Rest. This is a great town. So I'm like giving my husband like this whole, you know, high horse thing. And he's like, well, stop complaining about it. Why don't you just run? And so I was like, I don't even know what they do. So like, I was like, I don't know who the mayor is. I don't know like what council does. So I just went to a meeting. I'm a CPA, you know, that's my profession. And I went to a meeting, I'm like, they talk about money the whole time. I'm like, I could contribute to this conversation. And that's kind of how it got started. So I was on council for about 8 years. And then the former mayor, you know, retired. And he definitely was like a mentor to me. So I took his spot. And I love it. So I'm on my 4th year of being mayor.
Awesome. And so working that and seeing how that happened, and I'm just absolutely certain that God's hand was on all of that, right? Just never even, I mean, probably until that point where your husband said that, you probably never even considered the concept of being in like city, county government.
No, and the first time I ran, I lost. So first time I ran for city council seat, I lost by like 16 votes. So like, don't ever let anybody tell you that a vote doesn't matter, because it really does. So like, not only did I lose the first time, I had to suck it up and run again. So it's definitely a God thing.
So tell me what that was like. So
it was horrible.
Going in, like, so you lose the first time, like this thing that you really didn't want to do, didn't think you were going to do. Okay. So then you lose, and then coming back, what made you go again? And then what was that process like?
Okay, first learning lesson is never throw an election party, because then everybody has to see you lose. So I was like, never again, never. So that was lesson number 1. No parties at Brandy's house on election night. But 2 was like, I was just bummed. Like, you put so much effort into it, and I had already like visualized that's what was going to happen. So there was a special election like maybe 3 or 4 months later, because the guy who won mayor was on council, so his seat was open. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it better this time. So like, that's kind of my mentality, is like, okay, I didn't do it right. I could have done some things better, but this next time I'm gonna kill it. And so that's what I did.
Good. And then came out victorious, and then they crowned you mayor. And not only mayor, but the youngest and the first female mayor.
Yeah, which is really cool.
How did that feel? I mean, that truly is that's a big deal. Like, I wouldn't even want to understate that. Like, that's a big deal.
I appreciate
How was that feeling in accomplishing that?
It really didn't sink in until the night that I was sworn in. The whole town showed up, and there was a couple families, men who brought their daughters, and was like, I want them to see that a female could be mayor. I was like, ooh, so much pressure, so much pressure. But like, that's when it sunk in. And then they put my picture on the wall of like a wall of old white men, and there's Brandy. I was like, hey. So that's like when it kind of kicks in. But yeah, it's definitely an honor.
Yeah, and that is. Again, I don't want to understate that. Like, I think that's so important, and that's a big thing to accomplish. But it's cool being here at NGU and understanding that this is kind of where you got your start in that. Although you weren't here specifically for that, you're still learning, like whatever your major is, like it's a lot of people who don't go out and specifically work in their major or, make big accomplishments or, things for society within their major or what they majored in. But it's in other things that they find that. What did you learn in your time here at NGU that has helped you as you function in your role as the mayor of Tigerville? Not Tigerville.
That's your job. That's your job. Travelers Rest. I think for me, like this was the stepping stone to get to something else. Not to devalue it or anything like that, but I was like very much here to get a degree. Like I knew what I wanted. I wasn't here to find myself or find a mate or like I'd already had those things. So I was here to get a degree because I knew I couldn't kind of step out of this like paycheck to paycheck type history that I'd had from a family standpoint. It's like I gotta have this degree and create that solid foundation so then I can go get a good job, get a CPA license and all these things. In hindsight, like that was setting me up for the things that I am now. Like I think part of the reason why I got on the council is because I had that money background and people just felt a trust in that. Like, oh, Brandy knows about taxes and money. Like we can trust her to make good decisions. So knowing like all the things from North Greenville kind of set me up for that. I think it's kind of gave that firm foundation.
Good. One of the things we've been talking about this month, and it's kind of been our focus point, is talking about relationships, right? And so relationships are very important.
People are messy. People are so messy.
Yes,
it's hard. It's hard.
And even Christians. But relationships are so important in how we maintain relationships, how we develop relationships, and us becoming who we are. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that even myself being in the position I am, it's not without having relationships with people to push me forward in those things. What are some relationships that maybe you've had? I know you mentioned the previous mayor and how big that mentorship was. Some relationships that have pushed you into this position and even every day as you're thinking about how to push forward the agenda in Travelers Rest.
Yeah, I think relationship building is really what a mayor does. I mean, that's like you're taking care of a community as a whole, but you're building relationships with each other. And I think having people like the former mayor that's like, Brandy, you're going to be mayor one day. I was like, no way. I'm not, that's too much work. I don't want to do it, too much responsibility. But like having someone kind of push you forward, and even in a professional setting, I always had great women mentors that were like, no, Brandy, when you're CFO one day, this is what you need to know. And so I think being able to reciprocate that and, give that to someone else is definitely a big give back. But the relationship building is a big part of that. I often get asked as a young person when you go into a room with, political leaders or whatever, like, do they take you seriously, or like, how do you have that conversation? And I think a big part of it is like, I like to lay a foundation in the relationship. I want to know about your family. Congratulations, you got married. How did that go? Tell me about your kids. So you're building something to work upon and creating that trust, like straight out the gate. And I think that's something that you can kind of build upon going forward. Because sometimes I got to tell people bad news. So I'd rather have you as a friend a little bit before I got to shut you down. Just a little.
Yeah, in coaching, we always had this thing when we were coaching our guys. Our head coach, one of the first head coaches I worked on, he always said, build them up before you tear them down.
Right? That's
if you're
good.
Gonna tear them down, make sure you got a great relationship with them, because they'll trust you even in the bad news.
Yeah, and I think doing that at a mayor level is like, you got 10,000 people. You're constantly trying to figure out like how to build a good relationship with. You're not going to get them all, but how are you kind of like laying that groundwork?
Yeah. So in your role, kind of shifting to the thought of maybe some leadership stuff, right? Sure. I think most pressing in the minds of what's going on around the world, obviously, is the pandemic and how it's come and completely changed everything and kind of taken over our day-to-day. What's been, the more difficult side of leading people through a pandemic for you as mayor?
Yeah, I was thinking about this when you kind of mentioned that this might be a question. It's emotion. So thinking about people are messy, they're irrational, they're illogical. And when something like this happens that's so big, it almost like brings out the worst. It can bring out the best, but it can bring out the worst. And as a leader, like, you've got to hold all those emotions. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen a picture of like the president when he first comes in the office and then when he leaves, and he's like Obama's a really good one. He's a young, fine, good looking guy. And then he's like 1,000 years old at the end. And I think the reason why I feel that, because like you hold the emotions for an entire community. So thinking of you're holding the emotions for an entire United States of America. But like that's the hardest part. And so knowing that like big things that you're not in. I love to be in control. I like, let's make a decision, move on something. But like, I'm not in control of the pandemic or the virus. And so knowing that people have those big emotions and you got to hold them for them. And you also got to help them kind of move forward. So that's been the biggest part. I hope I don't look 1,000 years old when I'm done with my mayor role. Just saying. I'm trying to maintain.
Just keep it. You got it. Listen, I will say you are probably the best dressed mayor I've seen.
Thank you.
I'm like, snazzy.
Stop it.
But that's that NGU fashion.
That's right. That's totally where I got it.
We got some fashionistas on campus. I will say that. That is the one thing about NGU. Some people they got a little snazz to them.
Yeah,
so,
you got to have some swagger.
You're up here in the mountains. You can't dress like a mountain man, I guess. Or mountain woman, whatever it is.
I don't wear plaid or camo unless it's for my husband. Yeah.
So leading through the pandemic, I mean, obviously it's difficult, and the emotions, that's a major part of it, because people, things happen, and everybody adjusts different, everybody handles circumstances different. But the one thing is, you probably have more people in Travelers Rest right now than in previous years, because Greenville County, city of Greenville is booming, right? And so there's a plethora of people, and I think that speaks a lot to the preparation and intentionality, right? And I want to read this quote. This is from the letter from the mayor's desk.
Oh, nice.
From January. And it says, Travelers Rest transformation from Drover rest stop more than 200 years ago to a highway bypass in the 80s to a small town ripe with development and visitors in the 2000s is a story all its own. And this is the important part that I want you to speak to. It says, but what's usually left out of that transformation story is the preparation for and intentional development of our city by local government and elected officials, right? So speak to, in leadership, right, having that preparation in leading and where you're at, and then even that intentionality in when you're leading people.
Yeah, when I first came on the council, we were talking about sustainable growth. Like, we knew the Swamp Rabbit Trail, if you guys have been on it, we knew that was going to be like the catalyst to set TR apart. I mean, our logo used to be on the way up in Travelers Rest. I'm like, on the way up to something better? Like, on the way passing through. So it was a pass-through stop. So we were already planning for the growth that we have today 10 years ago, but people don't see that because, like, one, you're not paying attention, or you just assume it kind of happened overnight. So part of that op-ed was just trying to educate people, like, we have actually been planning for this for a long time, and being intentional and setting plans. And in politics, like, every 2 years, you might have a new boss, which is weird to think of. I mean, it's a 4-year term for mayor, but council rotates. Half of us every 2 years. So, like, knowing you got to have a plan for where you're going and to be able to pass that forward, I think that's being the intentional piece for the whole, and planning for a big group of people too. Because if you don't have a plan, people will just go a little nuts. Yeah.
And what you do as mayor of Travelers Rest, when you lay those plans out, you guys have, the city council meetings and things like that where people can come and speak their mind. How do you gauge how to engage with people with the questions and the issues they have?
Yeah, I think a big part of my job is a little bit of a salesperson and a little bit of a cheerleader. So it's like, I got to sell you on this, and it's got to be solid, it's got to be authentic, but also, like, we're going to be excited about it, Justin. Like, we're going to make this happen. And so I think in that relationship building, like, I like to have something already established. Like, you should already know me a little bit and trust me, but you got to build it because people are scared. Like, change is hard. Like, just a little something is hard. So when you're talking about something big, like planning for a whole city, you definitely got to put some of that work up front. And so it's a lot of, like, people have my cell phone, which is fine. Just call me up. We talk about. I get Facebook messages all the time. Like, it's just constant, questions and reminding people.
And I think change is very important because change is how you improve. Right?
Yeah.
That's how you become better. Yeah. I've heard a story about from a pastor who mentored me. He says, if you go into a new church and there's a piano on one side and you want to move it to the other side, don't come in the first day and move it over there. But if you move it an inch a little bit each week, the people probably won't even notice it's being moved, and by the time it gets over there, they'll be like, oh, you know what, I like that over there. It's kind of the same. It's piece by piece, right? Moving it small segments at a time.
Yeah. I've heard leaders described as change makers, and I think that's a big part of what we're doing. Little or big, like our job is to move us forward into something better, and that's scary to a lot of people. Yeah. So like that's your job, is to hold those emotions. I got you, we can do this.
I got you while I'm in front of you. When I get home,
I'm going to kick you in the shins.
The truth of marriage.
The truth. We're going to have a whole conversation about that later.
So in this, I think, growing up, at least for myself, and I think maybe for a lot of people, the two things that you were told never to talk about were politics and religion, right?
Yeah.
Those are like the two things that you don't have discussions with people about. And I think with obviously the boom of social media now in this era, some of that's kind of gone all the way out the window, because everybody's got an opinion, and they're not afraid to let you know what that opinion is. And for you as the mayor of Travelers Rest, how has your faith influenced that? And how do you integrate your faith into what you do, and using that as a ministry, and being able to help people?
Yeah, I think the political conversation is rough. Like it is just, it's a hot mess. And so knowing, like, I have purposely inserted myself into that conversation on a daily basis. Now, we're nonpartisan at the city, which is kind of nice. Like, we on city council, we're not Democrats, we're not Republicans. Like, we are residents of Travelers Rest. And I think that gives me a little bit of space to kind of breathe and put back the human element into it, as like, Jody, this is about us. Like, you need your trash picked up. I hear you, like some of those basic things. So I think that's an avenue to kind of just lend to, like, I'm trying to help you. I want to take care of you. That gives me a spot to minister to people and let them feel that love on a personal, individual level. But the politics conversation gets messy really, really quick. And so I try to, like, de-escalate as quick as possible. So, I got somebody that's going a little crazy. Hey, let's have coffee. Let's have a conversation, so they know the people side of me, and then that way they can hopefully, then maybe I can help, or maybe I can't. Maybe it's like, I can't help you with, people want to complain to me about the school district. I'm like, I'm not actually in charge of the school district. But still, like, trying to give that avenue of, like, the people conversation and take it on a human level as quick as possible, because otherwise it's like, you're a politician and you're getting kickbacks and blah, blah, like all that, like, crazy stuff that happens really quick. But that's the avenue where I try to, like, okay, let's me and you have a conversation, and then I can try to influence them from that standpoint.
Yeah. Have you seen, just from your experience, I would say that in no way are you shy about your faith. I think even last year when the pandemic first started, one of the things was we are, as a university, had some alumni sending videos in about prayer and things, and you were one of those videos, which was an amazing encouragement to our students, just spending time encouraging them for a couple minutes and then praying for them. And so you haven't been shy at all about your faith and what you believe. Have you seen that in any way as a hindrance or as a positive in your role as mayor?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not shy, but I am more reserved. Okay. And I think that's just my natural tendency. Like, I think about, like, to be mayor, you have to have thick skin, because like, people go hard fast, and
that
knowing,
means I'm absolutely ready for it. Then.
Yeah, you're ready. You can do it. You can do it. And I think, like, God gave me thick skin for a reason. Like, He set you up for the things that He wants you to do. Yeah. And so I say that to say, like, thinking about that's my way to diffuse a situation or a conversation and quickly get back to the human aspect of it, so they can see the faith part of me. And it's given me a route to be able to do that pretty quickly, but I'd say from, like, a mayor standpoint, you really got to you got to have, like, 1 foot in the secular door, but then 1 foot in the religious space. And I think I'm able to do that by having a little bit of reservation in that conversation. And maybe it's just to be approachable, because you are trying to bridge a gap between someone who might not have like, I didn't grow up in church, so I have a history that I can kind of bring back to that. But anyways, I think I'm able to bridge a gap between the two of those in this role, and also having the faith piece.
Which I think is really important, because sometimes I think even, if you use the term evangelicals, we think, like, well, we have to be so aggressive at people. And a lot of times what happens is it's really the way in which we live.
It is,
It's the way in which we do our daily things. And I think what you're doing in your role, the way in which you're doing those things daily, you're absolutely ready for that conversation when it comes, right? So somebody says, Amidon, you're just an amazing person. What makes you different?
Right.
And you're ready for that conversation at any moment.
And people are always watching.
Yes.
And they're watching it like even in a personal relationship. So I think they see Stephen and I mean, a lot of people we know have been divorced, when we got married. And so I think they're even looking at like that personal relationship, how I treat my daughter. So seeing those like daily life things, I think those speak, because the one time, then it's like, oh, Brandy's not, that person. But I think it has to be that authentic piece. What's natural to somebody else and how they kind of, present themselves is different for everybody.
Absolutely. I think, and you touched on a piece that I think is important is God's vision and God having a vision for you and putting you in that place.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to see, to identify that you, as a mayor, and even in running the business that you run. This is actually a quote I got from...
I love that you have quotes that I said.
Every time I say quote, I see your eyes get big.
I'm
he found some deep dark on Twitter. No, so this is actually your email tag, which I thought was really cool, right? It says, a mayor's job is to be a visionary. Yeah. Right? And I think that's a simple yet very complex statement. And so I really just wanted you to talk about how important that is for you in serving in your role as a mayor and even as you run your business. Yeah,
that's by Mayor Joe Riley, who was mayor of Charleston for like 100 years, a great, great guy. And I think your job as a leader is like set the stage for what's coming. And you have to give everybody the peace of mind. We got this figured out. It's going to be hard. But I have a vision. Council has a vision. Come along with me. There's a great quote. I think it was like a public CMO I heard speak one time, and he said, "Leaders have willing followers." So I can't just say, "You guys do what I tell you to do, and you're going to be happy about it." Like that's not how you can serve. But like I want them to come along with me. Let's be excited about what's going to happen. And so knowing that like you got to set the vision, and then here's the plan, and here's how we're going to make it happen, I think gives them that peace of mind that you can figure it out. I don't have all the answers. I can pretend like I do, be like fake it till you make it type thing. But really, I think people just want to know, I don't know all the things, but we're going to figure it out together. But here's the vision of where I want us to go.
Yeah, and I think it makes it easier when people, I actually said this quote to our staff, or I mentioned this story. There was when I was at a conference a few years ago, a pastor talked about people don't necessarily have to understand the vision, but if they know your heart and they trust you, they'll go along with you. And so I think that even takes us back to the relational piece of things, right? When you have a relationship with people and they know your heart and they trust you, they'll do anything for you. They'll ride with you.
In like a professional environment too, at Brains on Fire, we got like 24 employees, and that's the same thing too. Like they don't need to know all the pieces, but like trust me, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make good decisions for you, and that goes into the mayor role too. Like just trust me, we're going to do this together, and I'm going to try to help.
Speak really quickly to the fact of how do you build that trust among your employees and the people of the city?
Yeah, I think it's just consistency. Like you say the things, you're authentic, you mean it, and you're always reinforcing it. Like I don't know if you guys have ever had like someone underneath you and you're trying to build confidence in them and like, come on, Justin, you got this, you're smart, you can do it. It is always having to build them up, and so I think when they see that, and then also like life happens, something bad is going to happen. If it's on a personal, is it a recession? Is it a pandemic? But like, are you able to maintain and still be like, I still got you. No matter what, we're going to take care of this together. And I think that's where they need that comfort, and it kind of ties back to the vision setting too. But laying that foundation, like we're going to do this together.
Yeah, that's good. Consistency is very important.
Consistency, yeah.
Every aspect of life. I mean, whatever you're doing, being consistent helps you. Being consistent in going to class.
Plug.
Being consistent.
Showing up's a big deal.
Yes,
you show up.
That's like half the battle. I wish I knew that when I was a freshman in college. My 8 a.m. teacher would have appreciated that. So that consistency piece is very important, and we're coming to a close here. I didn't cue you up for this.
Okay,
but
surprise me.
I think it's not a crazy question, but you can't come back to NGU, and you may not have one, so it's okay if you don't.
Okay.
A memorable story from NGU time, something that might have influenced you greatly, like something that happened here that you have used and taken with you, and it's like almost unforgettable.
Okay, so my favorite professor here was Dr. Frazier, and he was an accounting. I was like one of the first accounting majors here. I mean, it was preachers and teachers when I came here. Like that was it. So I was like one of the first accounting, and he like you have that like so smart. And he joked he wore cowboy boots with little lifts in them because he was a short man, and he was okay with it. I'm like, more power to you. But he was so smart, and I remember he just said, "You guys want to know how to be rich?" I'm like, "Yeah, tell me. Like, what's the secret?" Don't buy a new car every 3 years. I'm like, okay, that's like, okay. But like, it was the best, like, don't buy a new car every 3 years. Like, so in my head, every 5 years, I have a Toyota Camry. I am running it into the ground. It's been paid for 10 years. There's your advice. You're welcome.
Let me put that in college student context. Don't buy the new iPhone every time it comes out, right? That is the thing. Like, iPhone comes out with a new phone every year, and it tells you it does something different. And it's
lies.
All the same. I had a 6 for the longest amount of time, and everybody killed me about it.
Yeah.
But I run it until it don't work no more.
Yeah.
Until it can't. See? My niece, every time she let me, she's like, "You need a new phone." Like,
mine has a crack on it. It works fine.
I told her, "You need a job." You know, since we talking about what people need. No, thank you so much. Would you, if there is a student sitting in here or online watching, one piece of advice that you would leave them with as they're trying to navigate through their college career, maybe they're about to graduate, or maybe they're just starting, as they're trying to figure out what's next, what's something that you would leave them with?
I would probably say, like, try as many things as you can. Like, I was one of those that I needed to try something to know if I didn't like it, and then be like, okay, didn't like that, moving on. Like, I went straight into corporate accounting and banking, and I was like, well, banking and like a corporate, like tie and suit place wasn't for me. So like, try as many things as you can as quick as possible so you can narrow down what makes you happy and what you enjoy. Like for me, it's always been people and money. I love money. I like it. I like to hold it and count it and think about it and how to grow it. And then I love people. Same thing. Like I want them to grow. So as quick as you can get to that. And for me, it's just like trying things so you know you don't like them and narrowing it down. So just to show up, be present, and just experiment.
Yeah, 2 things I would take from this, guys, is I think that were glaring to me. Be consistent, and then with that statement, be versatile, right? Be able to shift, be able to try new things. And I just want to say, as you guys are trying to figure all those things out, like we talked about, whether you're a freshman beginning or whether you're a senior who's on the back end and trying to find out what your job is, it's our job, and as a university as a whole, but specifically in CMSE, Campus Ministry Student Engagement, to help you guys navigate those things, right? And so as we say every time we're in here, we have a number that we want you guys to text to I mean, you can call it even if you want to, 864-800-6500, and let us know. And maybe, listen, and because we're talking about, the reason I was really excited about having Mayor Amidon here was because this is somebody who's doing ministry in the marketplace, right? This isn't a senior pastor. We had the panel at the beginning of this month where we did have people serving in ministry. But understand, the ministry happens in the marketplace. That's where most of it happens, through you guys, because everybody's not going to be a preacher, right? Everybody's not going to work for a ministry. Some people are going to be mayors. Some people are going to work for finance companies, but the ministry must go forth through that. And so maybe you're a senior and you're about to graduate and you don't have a job yet. Well, we have services to help you, right? And if that's what you need, text us, right? Mm-hmm. Text "I need a job" to 864-800-6500. And you think I'm joking, but we have Stuart Floyd, who does a great job with helping line our students up with jobs, right? Yeah. You can text that number, we'll get them in touch with you, or you can come by and see them, right? We want to help you in every single way. We're trying to do life with you and have that relationship far beyond, because one day I want to be sitting here and you be sitting in that chair and me interviewing you. Amen?
Amen.
Listen, can we give Mayor Amidon a big hand for being here today?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I know you're busy, have a lot going on.
Yeah,
so for you to take time and come spend some time with us, we greatly appreciate it.
I'll extend that same offer. Like, if anybody wants to chat with me, my cell phone number, email, reach out. I was a little worried when you invited me to chapel. I was almost like, no, I can't preach, can't teach, can't sing, but this was great. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, well, happy to help.
Next time, because the mayor likes to try new things, we'll get you to preach in chapel.
Nope, not going to do it.
And then sing before. You sing, then preach. We'll give you a double whammy. So thank you again for coming. We greatly appreciate it. Listen, you guys have a great day. Enjoy your Easter weekend. Love you. Be blessed.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for a North Greenville University Chapel service.